Roots podcast. How are you?
I'm good. We are on a subway. We just passed Franklin Street in Soho.
We're on Canal Street now.
Awesome. We left from World Trade Center on the subway because
That's right.
How did we get to the World Trade Center subway station?
Well, I wrote to Crank a few days ago, hey, you want to run the length of Manhattan? He's like, yeah. So we decided to run the length of Manhattan.
Which we accomplished
We
today.
did accomplish, and that we are on the subway, so you get to hear all the background noise. It's great.
Yes.
You still have your music playing, you know that?
No,
Yeah, you do. No, it's not.
Oh. Now it's paused. Okay. All right.
Like I said, you get to hear all of the fun. Maybe there's somebody on the tracks. We don't know. It's
It's New York City.
New York City. Yes, exactly.
So we are training for the Sasquatch
Squatch Apple.
Squatch Apple. Sasquatch Apple, which is an ultramarathon. I have to change my registration because when I registered in haste and I registered for the 50-mile race. But we are supposed to be registered for the 30-mile race.
That's right. Which I appropriately registered for.
Yes. So I will deal with that sometime in the next 2 weeks.
Fantastic.
So we have been training. I kind of feel like Rocky from Rocky 2 when he's like half-ass training and not really like doing it, and Mickey's yelling at him.
You haven't crapped thunder yet, have you?
Well, today I did.
Yeah,
because
today
today
you
was
did.
awesome. So this week I finally got my ass in gear. I had my Rocky win moment, and I did 6 with hills on Tuesday, 5 with hills on Tuesday.
Okay, just 5 2 with hills.
Yeah.
Yep.
6 just straight on a stupid treadmill, which was awful on Thursday.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Because we are using. Who are you in contact with to get this training plan?
Oh, I have a coach actually, because I figured since I DNF'd, we both DNF'd the
Yes.
last 2. I figured maybe having a trainer or a coach would help us with the freaking running. So I've been following her plans for the past since November, 4
Yes.
months, and I've seen such an improvement in my running, in my VO2 max, all the good things.
So you're actually in better shape than I am. I mean, I had an outstanding run today, but you are actually in better shape and a better runner than I am at this point. I'm using what I was thinking about this as I was running today. I'm using what I'm calling the gender gap, because I have bigger heart, bigger lungs. I don't care what they say. Men and women are different.
Bigger balls.
Yes. So even though you're better trained and technically a better runner, like I'm using my gender to still like come out a little bit ahead. I'm sorry. It sucks.
That's it. I am switching
switching.
genders. That does not make any difference.
But it won't, because then you can't get a bigger heart or
Nope.
bigger lungs by doing that. But anyway. So, Tumbles contacted me. He was like, you want to run the length of Manhattan? And I was very nervous because my last 14 did not go well. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what happens.
Yep.
So we started in the Bronx.
No, in Manhattan. We're in Manhattan.
We were in Manhattan.
Yep. So fun fact. Inwood Hill Park is the northernmost part of Manhattan Island. If you go over the Henry Hudson Bridge, which takes you into the Bronx, there is a tiny sliver of the southern end of the Bronx called Marble Hill that has a Manhattan zip code.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So did we run the entirety of Manhattan? No, because we didn't get to Marble Hill. I'm kidding. But every year, friends of mine, they try to take Marble Hill back for the Bronx, and they're never successful.
So we parked at Seaman and West 225th Street, and I'm counting that as where we started.
Yeah,
pretty
of
much.
course.
Yeah,
We started our clocks there.
yeah.
So ideally, I was watching videos of people who have run the length, and they're like, yeah, it's roughly, as the crow flies, like 13.1. The run part is 14.25. We added another mile because we started in the Bronx. See how me saying it. We started on the streets of Manhattan before we got to like our proper starting point, which added a mile, which is great. And then we ran up Broadway for a bit to get to 16. So, you know what, whatever. It's a long way.
And we eventually got on after like a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles, bonus mile. We got on the Greenway. What the hell is it called?
The Hudson River Greenway.
The Hudson River Greenway.
Yeah, the Hudson River Greenway. They renamed it recently within the last 5 to 10 years. It was always called like West Side Park, Riverside Park. And the Hudson River Greenway actually goes from Battery Park all the way up to past Albany. It's not it's also the Empire State Trail.
Yep.
But it does fork at some point in Westchester County. I think the Empire State Trail goes across the bridge. It hugs the Palisades, and it goes up on the west side of the river.
Yes, it does. So that trail is weird because after about 3 miles, the trail stops and it's like no public access. And there's a gap where you're not technically supposed to run, but there's an off-road there. We can't figure out why they didn't just connect it, but whatever. New York City parks, whatever.
Yeah, it's still the Greenway, but there's no diversion either. There's no detour for people to go.
You're just not supposed to go there.
You're just not supposed to go there, but
there is a dirt path.
Yeah, enough people have traversed over it to make its own little off-road path.
So we did that. It eventually reconnects with the Greenway, and you run underneath the George Washington Bridge.
That's right.
And past, what's the deal with that little red lighthouse? Little red White House.
The Little Red Lighthouse. There's actually a children's book called The Little Red Lighthouse, and I grew up on that one. And it's just a mainstay in the New York City Parks Department system. It's the cutest little red lighthouse underneath the George Washington Bridge. And like every lighthouse, it just, tells mariners and shipsmen to watch out.
Don't fucking crash.
Exactly.
And then you keep heading on the Greenway. You pass Grant's Tomb. If you want to go to Grant's Tomb, you have to get off and head up street side, but
we did that once.
Yes, we did. We did that on bikes.
And we ran it.
Yes, we've done both.
We did that on bikes when I had COVID a few years ago.
And you fell in the middle of the streets in Manhattan on a bike.
Oh, that's right, I did.
Yes. I looked back and just boom.
I think there was also the time where the fire department was at some the fire department was at some apartment
Someone
building.
threw their Christmas tree out and it was on fire. So,
mean streets.
You pass Grant's Tomb
and Riverside Cathedral.
You just keep running. It's straight. You can't miss it.
It's
it follows the river.
If you want a straight and flat route, man, that's the way to go.
By this point, I had dialed in and I realized this is a great run for me today. I can fucking do this.
Yep.
So, and I think staying with you, pacing with you for the first 3 miles helped.
I think so too. You know what? In Inwood Hill Park, it's a very hilly park. So just walked up the hills. We didn't want to gas ourselves out in the first couple of miles, and then just took it easy.
And then I started to pull ahead because I started to feel comfortable again. The next touristy site would be the USS Intrepid, which
wasn't open yet.
No,
it wasn't 10 o'clock.
But World War II aircraft carrier. Off the top of my head, I don't know tons of details about its service record, but it is a pretty cool site. I was there about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago.
Yeah, mine was much longer. Yeah.
They have a lot of awesome, I don't know if it's still there, but the USS Enterprise space shuttle that they used for glide testing for the actual space shuttle was there a couple years ago. I don't know if it's still there.
Oh, wow, okay.
But they've got a Blue Angels Tomcat, they've got an SR-71. And it all makes me sad because this ship is basically sitting in the mud. It needs to be actually in water because where the water line is about 3 feet from where it's supposed to be, and the ship is rusting, and all of the aircraft have no engines. It's like an old warrior that's been declawed and put out to pasture.
It's wild to think because it had been dry docked pretty recently, within the last 10 years. It had been undergoing some major preservation on that ship, and it's designed
to sit in the
in
ocean,
water, right?
Not in the mud in the harbor.
So if you think about that, which was a World War II ship, so let's say 50 years younger than the USS Olympia,
Yes.
who has been in the water, it's never been dry docked. It's always been in the water. It's in a much more dire situation. But highly recommend the USS Olympia in Philadelphia if you want the oldest steel-hulled warship on Earth.
And the Intrepid.
And the Intrepid.
So I was feeling great by then. That was about 10 miles in.
Yes.
I started to pull even more ahead, and that takes you through. They've really done a good job, and again, it makes me sad because the tourist spots of New York City along the waterfront, they've done up really, really nice. There's Chelsea Piers, which is basically an amusement park, an indoor amusement park on the freaking water. It's gorgeous.
It is. Did you happen to go inside?
No.
You could actually run through the piers, which is what I did.
Okay, maybe that's
pretty
part of the reason that I pulled ahead a little bit too.
Right. Yeah, I did do some ziggy-zaggies.
And I kept it straight. Next spot of historical significance is the Jane Hotel. That was about 12 miles in, and I'm going to turn this over to you because this was your thing.
Yeah, the Jane Hotel. No, I heard of the Jane Hotel years ago as I was doing my Titanic research, and it was the 100th anniversary recent, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And the Jane Hotel actually held some people who were, we're at 34th Street?
We're at Times Square.
We're at 42nd Street. Okay, so there's a lot of people
so
coming
lots
on.
of people getting on. Whatever, we're going to keep going.
Okay. So the Jane Hotel held some of the survivors of the Titanic while they were being processed and everything. Prior to that, it was always known as a sailor's hotel. If you go on the Jane Hotel website, you'll see that a lot of these hotel rooms are tiny little berth-sized rooms because that's what the sailors were used to.
And then you said you asked the guy about it, and it's closed.
So I was able to go in right as COVID hit. My friend and I, it was like the week after COVID, the week before COVID hit, and everyone was starting to sit outdoors and shit like that. And my friend and I went into the city, and I said, please stop at the Jane so I could see it. So I went in, and it was the most beautiful Art Deco lounge.
Thank you.
And the most beautiful Art Deco bar. Reminded me a lot of the Hershey Hotel.
Yep.
And I went in. They're doing tons of renovation now, outside and inside. We had to go into the basement for the entrance of the hotel. So I asked the guy, is the lounge open? He's like, no, it's permanently closed as of last January. So
they're going to modernize it and ruin it.
They're going to ruin it, yes.
Yeah.
So this lounge has been around for over 100 years, and now in the city's infinite wisdom, I'm going to just say the blanket city's infinite wisdom,
Yep.
They're going to ruin it.
So we were at about 12.3 at that point. Got back on the Greenway, and at that point I was like kicking.
You were ready.
Yeah, I was kicking ass. I was feeling really good. My marker was the Freedom Tower. Like I saw that and I was like, all right, that's where we're headed.
When you saw that, you knew we were close.
So hit Battery Park City, and then you could keep going on the streets. I chose the path goes right. I chose to go right.
Yeah, that was fine.
It still follows the river.
That also added time.
It also added a couple half mile maybe.
Yeah, point
0.3
1 mile.
Whatever. Nice view of the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of it. Like we were almost done at that point. You were looking for.
I needed more sugar.
Yes.
I needed a drink. I needed some food because the goos, like the goo gels, they really are great for me. I don't have any, stomach issues with them. I tend to just eat those during the run, and I knew that, okay, I've expended enough energy that I needed something more substantial.
So let's talk nutrition real quick.
Yes.
I have found Kind bars are my friend.
Okay. They're kind to you.
Yes.
Oh.
I do one every 5 miles, and then I do a goo block every 3.
Okay.
And that, I think, I've got my shit dialed in, and that's what I'm going to do for the race.
Yeah.
What do you got going on?
I'm going to stick with the goos. And the thing is, we can also stop at the car, like, in the middle of the race, basically, like halfway. We can resupply at the car. So I'm going to keep some peanut butter and jelly on hand, because that is always my pre-run food, is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That also works very well for me. So that's what I'm going to focus on.
Okay. Now, when you say goos, you're not talking goo block.
Not the blocks.
No.
The proper gels.
Yes. The consistency and texture of cum, they're delicious.
Easier to get down while you're running. I
Yes.
found the goo blocks were kind of tough.
So, and then we started to run out of city. Like you hit the Freedom Tower, and then there's not much city left. So
The Brooklyn Battery tunnel entrance is right there, and then
Yep.
we got to we got to Battery Park.
we got to Battery Park and Castle Garden, which was the immigration center before Ellis Island.
Right.
And that's it. You're out of city at that point.
That's true. No,
So-
thank you.
No, thank you.
We were just pedaled by little children.
Yes. So we hit a Starbucks, resupplied, and then picked up another mile, heading back to the World Trade Center, which is the Oculus is a gorgeous station.
Yeah. So after, I guess it was in tandem when the Freedom Tower was about to be completed. They redid the subway hub down there. Now it's the Fulton Street station. It's gorgeous. And what you have to do to catch the number 1 train, which is the local train, the West Side local train, is you have to go under Broadway. Once you get into the Fulton Street station, you have to go under Broadway in a passageway, and then you get into the Oculus, which is the PATH system, the PATH train system that goes from Jersey to New York and vice versa. It is this
Pure white marble.
Yeah.
It looks like
a mall.
Right, and it looks like St. Peter is going to greet you, basically. It's just pristine. And
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
And that's where the number 1 train is.
So, we figured since we did something amazing that we would actually do a podcast. Hopefully we will get back into this on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah.
We'll upload all the things on the Instagram, but we should start wrapping this up because we're almost to where we need to be, I think.
Nope, we have many
all right.
steps to go.
All right,
We're at
well-
66. We need 215.
Okay,
We're 225.
then you're stuck with us for a little bit longer then.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, that's the longest, most. I feel great. I don't feel sore. My breathing was phenomenal.
Yeah,
My nutrition was dialed in. I could have done 20 today easily.
I think so. I have to get to 18. That was prescribed today. So when I get home, I'll finish it up. We're at 16.01 or whatever yours says. I'll go with yours.
I'm using the Garmin Forerunner 250, which has, I think, better satellite connections than the Apple.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, what are you at? 16.3?
16.1 something.
And I ended at 16.01. So that, I
Yes.
mean, it's not too far off.
Yes.
We've had worse.
Yes.
But yeah, no. It was a really good run, and I am grateful for a subway to take us back to the car.
So am I. I'm trying to think if there's any significant trail. We should do its own episode on that. There's some idiot that tried to do a triple crown with like a 2-pound base weight. We'll talk about that guy on a separate podcast. But
I mean, yeah, he didn't want to even use. Like, he was cowboy camping most of the time,
Yes.
and then it was wondering. Excuse us. I was wondering why he was so cold
yeah,
in the Sierra. Yeah.
he started digging like trenches to put his little tiny.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we'll do a whole thing on him, but that is to each his own.
Yeah.
But my view on that is if you're going to do that, you shouldn't expect people to risk their lives to rescue you.
No, I honestly, yes, we're, for folks that want to do trail, endurance stuff, you're always curious what the body can endure, and that is awesome. We always want to do this. We want to strive to do better, strive to do more, see what we can take. But in that respect, I think that is just looking for sympathy and likes.
Yep. And like I said, if you're going to do that, knock yourself out, but there should be an understanding that you're only going to get rescued if it's not going to put other people in danger. But I don't
Correct.
think that exists, unfortunately. But
I mean, the part of I understand 100% what you're saying. Yeah, it's always part of a first responders.
they're going to
choice.
rescue.
They're
Yeah.
gonna risk your lives.
But, and then we might have something going on for spring break.
Hell yes.
Yes. So
Hell yes.
we will, when that gets more dialed in and we get accommodations and arrangements, we'll fill you in on that. But our goal is to get back to doing this on a more regular basis. So,
Definitely. All right. Well,
so we'll update the fine folks, I guess, on race day.
yeah, that's right.
So that should be our next one.
That should be our next one. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Alrighty, friends. This was a short one, but we're glad to be back. Glad you're back, and that's a ciao.